So welcome everybody to this latest episode of Macklin's Take here on YouTube, and me, Andy Clarke, and Matt Macklin. And just a short while ago, we were ringside to see Conor Benn annihilate Samuel Vargas inside the first round. We did actually try and give you some instant ringside reaction, but I forgot to charge up the camera. So lesson learned. I'd like to say that won't happen again, but I can't be totally sure. So we've decamped. I'm back at my house. Matt's in the hotel just around the corner from the venue. And Matt, it was a fantastic performance by Conor Benn, because sometimes you can catch somebody a bit cold in the first round. You hit them in exactly the right place. They get scrambled. They can't quite recover. And it's over before they really know what has happened. But that wasn't what happened here, because he came out really sharp with the jab and he just hit him with an array, and I really do mean an array, of top quality, clean, hard, spiteful punches, and took him out.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't have dreamed of a better performance, Conor Benn. I mean, you know, social media is alight, with people just, wowed by that performance. I mean, you got to remember, and I mentioned it several times during the night in the build-up, we were talking about it. This was a big step up, even from Formella. Now, Formella was a big step up from where he'd been fighting. He'd only had that one loss on points to Sean Porter, but he wasn't as proven, let's say. Sean Porter aside, he was, he'd boxed fairly safe opposition. So this was a massive step up, even from the Formella fight. He'd been beaten by top guys and even stopped by the likes of Errol Spence and Virgil Ortiz last time out in 7 rounds. And let's face it, Virgil Ortiz could be the top prospect in world boxing. You know what I mean? He's that good, on a cusp of a world title shot probably. And, so to Conor Benn to go out there and just blow this guy out of there in 1 round, that was a statement. And like you say, didn't catch him cold. It wasn't like he jumped on him in the first few seconds. He came out, he took his time, he got the jab going, and he hit him with a hard 1-2. And I think he buzzed him with that 1-2. He shook him, he backed up a little bit, sensed it, stepped on him, put a few more shots together, landed a lovely uppercut, then a right hook, right uppercut. And just, he's got that, that killer instinct, that finishing instinct, put the shots together, locked on, didn't let him off the hook, and just kept putting the shots together. You couldn't have wished, if you're Conor Benn, you couldn't have wished for a better performance.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I echo all of that. And I mean, I thought people were sleeping on Vargas a bit, to be honest, in the build up to this fight. I said it on commentary right at the very start of the program. Johnny Nelson was talking about, would it be points or could he stop him? And I thought, let's just calm down a bit. I thought there were going to be some tough moments there for Conor Benn, that he'd have to ride a couple of maybe little storms out during the course of 10, 12 rounds. And I was completely and utterly wrong. And it's great to be wrong. It's great when somebody turns up and really puts in a performance like he did. People are already talking about what would be next. And it's not an easy one, because before this fight, people were thinking, Conor Benn, Amir Khan or Kell Brook, what a great fight that would be. If you're watching that fight back in Bolton as Amir Khan, you're not watching it thinking, oh my God, if I fight Conor Benn, I'm definitely going to lose. But you're probably looking at it just thinking, anything really in that fight for me now? Probably not.
No. That's exactly what he'll be thinking. And like you say, it's not that he won't think he can't win, but what's the upside for it in Amir Khan? He's at that stage in his career. Does he even really want to box anymore? Or is he just not quite ready to make that decision to retire? You know what I mean? Because once you retire, so look, I think if Amir Khan was my brother, I'd be saying, you don't need that fight. Why do you need that fight? You've got loads of money. You've become a world champion. You've had a stellar career. Why would you give a young lion an opportunity to make you a scalp? And you may go and beat him, but if you go beat him, then what? So what? What do you get from it? I think that they won't want any part of Conor Benn, and I understand why would they. The thing for Conor Benn though now is, who do you match him against? Because I don't think any of the top guys will want to fight Conor Benn, because for the same reason, they're going to think, that's a dangerous fight. What's in it for me? Where's the upside? You know what I mean? Like even someone like Virgil Ortiz, Virgil Ortiz is top draw, and he's going to be a world champion. Like, why would he fight someone like Conor Benn? Listen, that fight's not going to happen anyway. But what I'm saying is, what's the next fight for Conor Benn now? I'm not just thinking there off the top of my head, the top sort of 15, top 20 welterweight. You're looking for sort of maybe a former world champion that can give him. We talked about Joshua Buatsi. You're at a stage. It's a similar thing as you get to a stage in your career and you're probably not experienced enough, not seasoned enough to go in for a world title shot. But then what opponent's going to kind of bridge that gap from where you are? It's always a lot harder when you're bringing a guy through like Conor Benn who's got that kind of power, especially after the last night's performance, because people don't think, "Oh, don't need that." People don't mind. An old veteran doesn't mind going in there and topping out 10 or 12 rounds with someone that's good and slick, but you know what I mean? He's not quite experienced, and I'm cute enough to see my way through it. Well, they don't want to go in there with some guy who's blasting guys out of there in one round. They're not. How much is Eddie going to have to pay now to get these kind of fights? A lot.
That's it. It is, and as you say, that everything in boxing is calculated according to the risk versus reward ratio. So we're not looking at Conor Benn and thinking that people above him are scared of him. It's just that if there's even a slight risk and there's no reward, it doesn't make any sense. And if you're above him in the rankings, he's a bit of a risk for no real reward. So that's Avanesian is the name that leaps out to me because he's the European champion. He did win a version of the world title not that long ago. We saw how he handled Josh Kelly. I've seen people on Twitter say tonight already, let's all just calm down a bit. We don't need to go crazy. Avanesian is probably still a bit too much for Conor Benn at the moment. I don't know. I think that's a good fight. It seems to be the logical next step for me for the reasons you just outlined, really. Yeah, look,
and Avanesian is one of those guys who's probably going to have to do it the hard way. He's not packing out arenas. He doesn't have he's lost a couple of times. You know what I mean? So, don't get me wrong, his name's hot at the minute because obviously he beat Josh Kelly. But, and I'm thinking out loud as I'm talking, by the way. But yeah, no, listen, Avanesian, it's European title, definitely. That's a fight. I'd love to see that fight. Does Eddie earn Tony Sims? Listen, I know Conor Benn will fight anyone. You can tell he doesn't care. He believes in himself, and he just wants to roll the dice. He's a risk taker. You can see that in him. Avanesian's a tough fight. He's very experienced, durable guy. But listen, I thought Vargas was a durable guy. Like I said, I know he had been stopped, so I knew he could be stopped. But the guys that stopped him were top guys. So I was shocked. I didn't expect that tonight. I'm still kind of coming to terms with it because I was expecting. Do you know what I was expecting? It's going to be a tough fight for Conor Benn, but he'll win it. His freshness, his youth, he's improved. Might have a few hairy moments because Vargas is good, he's experienced, but the top guys do beat him. That was kind of my thought pattern going in. Didn't see a 1-round blast out. Did not see that.
No, nor did I. I don't think. No, that's no disrespect to Conor either. I don't think anybody did due to the credentials of the opponent. I think they've plotted his career and matched him absolutely perfectly. And they're not going to want to get that wrong now. And the battle they might have now is convincing Conor that maybe he just needs to kind of bed in at that kind of level and have one more at that level. And maybe we'll leave Avanesian alone for a little bit. I mean, Tony Sims and Eddie Hearn, they will get this right. But he might take a bit of convincing Conor possibly that he's not quite ready for as big a leap as maybe he thinks he is. We'll see. But it's brilliant. It's a great story. He's great to deal with. He's pure TV, not just because of the surname, because of just every single reason you could possibly think of. And I think he's become very popular the last couple of fights. It's not that he wasn't before, but it's before that people are questioning, is he a real fighter? Is it just the surname? Silver spoon and all this kind of stuff. We had him on the podcast and we know that's not the truth of the background, but I think everybody heard him speak so kind of openly and honestly after the Formella win, and they buy him now, don't they? They believe him. They feel that he's really authentic.
that's the word, authentic. People like authenticity. You know, just be yourself, and he's real. What you see is what you get, and he's excited. Do you know what I mean? He's improving. You know, so to make those improvements, people, you know, he says about hard work and talent, but it's not just the endurance, the grueling, those sort of things. It's the hard work where you're shadowboxing, the drills, the repetitions, because that's monotonous, that's tedious, that's boring. That's the shit you want to kind of fast track through, you know. But that's the stuff that you got to do. You want to make those improvements, and he's obviously doing it because he's improving. So obviously he's doing the hard graft, the endurance stuff. But I guarantee you, he's doing the hard, he's doing the mundane stuff, the monotonous stuff, the boring stuff, the drills, the repetitions, the shadow boxing, you know, constantly every single day, because that's the only way you get better. And then you incorporate it. Once you get it off and you kind of got it, becomes part of your shadow boxing, your bag work, the pad work, then you start try it in sparring. And, you know, might not get it off the first few times. Then you start getting it off. Then you start kind of, it becomes part of your arsenal. Then it starts becoming part of your arsenal on the night of the fight. It's a process, you know what I mean? And it takes time, and it only does it by putting the hours in the gym. So there's no doubt he's doing it. He's not just talking the talk. He's obviously walking the walk because he's producing the goods on the night.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll just have a quick run through the rest of the card. Good pro debut for Nick Campbell, not up against much opposition, but that was fair enough. We'll see him again soon, I'm sure. Another good solid 10 rounds for Cash Farouk against Alexander Espinosa. Farouk again looks really, really good. Be interested to see how quickly they try and move him. Savannah Marshall.
I'll tell you what, I've just got to interrupt you. Cash Farouk.
He's a big favourite for you, isn't he?
Obviously, Conor Benn, because of how exciting he is with the knockout, and you know, he's just got that power and that, you know, that rawness to him. But Cash Farouk is probably my favourite fighter to watch right now in the UK. His last two performances, I've watched him and just thought, I love his fluidity. I love his rhythm, his head movement, the way he punches off that head movement. He just everything just seems to flow so lovely. Do you know what I mean? He's like, his shot selection, he's class act. I love watching him fight.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that many fighters who can slip shots coming forward. It's just a really, really hard thing to do. And if you can do it, then it means that when you make them miss, you do make them pay. And that's kind of the name of the game. I mean, we've done his last two fights, and he's great. He's great to watch. I'm just really curious to see how far he can go. I'd love to see that rematch.
Lee McGregor do the rematch. I'd like to see that.
Well, McGregor's won European title, brilliant performance against Kareem Guerfi. Maybe they're looking at that and thinking we did the first one possibly not too soon. It was great, but maybe they're thinking, okay, we could leave this one for a bit longer. Who knows? But Savannah Marshall was way too much for Maria Lindbergh and retained her WBO title. Quick word on Shannon Courtney against Ebony Bridges. Really enjoyed that fight. Really enjoyed it. For me, Shannon Courtney was a pretty clear winner. I've seen a few things on Twitter from people saying they thought it was close and maybe Bridges was a bit hard done by. I thought she was very, very brave. Bridges showed a lot of guts, an enormous amount of bottle, and she did have some successes. But the dividing line was that Courtney is the better boxer of the two. And that, for me, made her a pretty clear winner. I had it 7-3. I could see 6-4. I couldn't see it any tighter than that.
No, I thought 6-4, but 7-3 was fine as well. You know, it was, 6-4, 7-3. But I couldn't see it. I thought it was definitely 7-3, possibly 6-4. You know, maybe 6-4. I think I had it 6-4, but 7-3 is fine. But I think any wider than that wasn't giving Bridges enough credit for what she put into the fight. Agreed.
I thought the 98-92s were a bit stingy from the judges, but I couldn't see a draw. I certainly couldn't see a win. Bridges, absolutely not. And well done to Shannon Courtney. It's, you know, she was devastated after that loss against Rachel Ball. Really hope Rachel Ball gets back to full health and we see her again soon. And it was just a really good fight to watch, really entertaining fight. And Bridges she'll be back because, you know, she sells herself well. She talks a good fight, and she delivered a good fight too. And when you do the talking that she's done, you then have to step up, don't you? And she's a bit limited ability-wise, but she can work on that. But she showed some serious minerals in there. Well, like I say, you've got to do that if you go about things the way that she does. And she did.
Yeah, look, no one minds if someone loses because the person was better than them, or tactically or technically they got it wrong or whatever. But if you talk the talk, you can't then bottle it. And she didn't do anything. She done the opposite. She laid it all on the line. She had that horrific eye injury, couldn't see out of it. I don't think. Certainly the last round she couldn't see. Probably even the ninth, when she was struggling with the vision, she was getting caught with shots that she probably couldn't see coming. But no, look, Courtney was the better fighter on the night, definitely. Better boxer, better shot selection, but better all-round fighter, really. But in terms of grit, heart, determination, guts, will to win, certainly not wanting in that department, Bridges.
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there. I'm off to Poland tomorrow. I returned a negative COVID test, I'm pleased to say. So I'm off to Poland tomorrow. Me and Big Ron McIntosh for the Youth World Championships. Nearly 500 fighters from nearly 70 countries in this massive COVID-secure bubble. Really looking forward to it. You see, I've been to one before in Armenia. And quite simply, you see the best fighters in the world coming through. It's great. England haven't sent the team because they had to make the decision back in February. And I think they felt at that stage far too many things were up in the air. And rather getting everybody training, focusing on that when they thought there was a good chance it might not happen, I think that would have been the thought process. They decided to call it then, which is a shame, but I can totally understand how they came to that conclusion. So I'll be bringing you a kind of video diary from that most days, every day, hopefully, and give you a bit of a glimpse there behind the scenes, and see if I could be any more successful than I've been in the past to try and buy/steal Russian tracksuits, Russian and Cuban tracksuits. I'm obsessed with, basically, Kazakhstan as well. Some of the gear, Macklin, you know what it's like for international amateur tournaments. Some of the gear is amazing, isn't it? And you could never ever buy it. It's I don't know if you managed to do any swaps down the years, but I'm keen to get my hands on some. Anyway, enough of that. I'm waffling. So thanks for tuning in as always. We will be back soon.